Hey everybody, I'm Logan Alec. I'm a CPA. I have this video on YouTube, what to do if you haven't filed taxes in years. You know, the target audience for that video is individual taxpayers who haven't filed taxes in years, but a lot of those concepts apply to corporate taxpayers as well. Here at Choice Tax Relief, we do a lot of corporate returns every year, S-Corp returns, C-Corp returns, even partnerships and payroll, right? And the nature of today's question, it comes from Voice of Reason 2674. Thank you for commenting, Voice of Reason. But he's asking, as a comment on that video about what to do if you haven't filed your taxes, he wants to know if IRS policy statement 5-133, that's the policy statement at the IRS. It says the IRS will generally consider you in filing compliance if you file the last 6 years of tax returns, right? In general, that's just a general statement. It can go back further than that in certain cases. It's general policy to not do so. So Voice of Reason is asking, does that policy statement, that 6-year rule that you might hear tax professionals refer to, does that protect corporations as well? He says he's got a corporation that hasn't filed in a decade. It's got nothing but losses every year. Just wants to get a return filed that's marked final. That's smart. If we can accomplish that with 6 filings instead of 10, that's good. So Voice of Reason 2674, yes. Policy statement 5-133 with the IRS, it's not only for individuals. It covers corporate tax returns as well. Now, I don't know if I would see it as, well, it is protective, right? You can exercise reasonable reliance on the 6-year rule, right? So to answer your question, fundamentally, Voice of Reason, yes. Policy statement 5-133 counts for corporate tax returns as well, okay? And we've had cases here at Choice Tax Relief where the C corporation was still going, still active, had not filed several years of returns. We filed the last six years of returns and then was able to get the C Corp in a resolution for its corporate income tax debt because we had filed the last 6 years of returns. So yes, it does apply to corporate tax returns. Now, Voice of Reason, I do want to say one thing. Now, look, there's different standards here, right? There's 3 ways you can go with this, all right? First way is to file all the years you haven't filed, right? This will ensure that the IRS can never come back, 20 years from now and say, hey, let's say they change the 6-year rule policy. Because that's just a policy. It's not law. It's not statute. The IRS could change that at any time. So let's say, they take the 6-year rule away 20 years from now. And they said, oh, Voice of Reason, you never filed your tax returns from 2014 for the C corporation. We're going to go after you now for them, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I have to go find all my records from 2014. So if you file all the years, that protects you from something like that from happening. However unlikely that may be, right? And then the middle of the road kind of solution, which most people land on in situations like this, is, okay, I'm going to file the last 6 years of returns. And that seems to be what you're thinking, Voice of Reason, right? And that's how most people tend to approach this. They're like, look, it's current IRS policy to only go after the last 6 years of returns, and that goes for individuals and corporations. I'm just going to file the last 6 years and call it a day and mark the last one final, right? And you can do that as well. The last solution, I call this, the real cheapskate solution, is to do 1 year of returns. Like, let's say you shut the corporation down last year in 2024, right? To just file that return and mark it final, right? Chances are the IRS isn't going to come back and say, hey, you got to file all the older years too. It might come back and say, hey, we want to see 19 through 24. We want to see those final 6 years of compliance. It might do that. But chances are it won't, okay? Especially if significant 1099s were not issued to the corporation, which there probably shouldn't have been anyway, since you aren't technically required to send like a 1099 NEC to a corporation anyway, but a lot of people still do. So, to answer your question, Voice of Reason, if this corporation has had losses all these years, I think it's a very solid strategy to just file the last 6, mark the last year final, and then just, be done with it. Now, caveat here, and I don't think I mentioned this in my last video on policy statement 5-133. Policy statement 5-133, this is just an IRS thing. It is just an IRS policy, okay? States may require you to to be considered in filing compliance and to get into a resolution, and sometimes even to shut down your business with the state to dissolve it. Sometimes the state will require you to have filed all of your delinquent returns, okay? So I just keep that in mind. I don't know if you're in a really aggressive state voice of reason, but just keep in mind, policy statement 5-133 is an IRS policy statement. It has nothing to do with states. Okay, sometimes states just go along with it, right? But there's no that just because the IRS said this does not mean it's binding for states as well. It's not even really binding on the IRS because it's just a policy that they can change at any time, right, if they want to. All right, I hope that clears things up for you, voice of reason. Great question, by the way. Thanks so much for asking it. Folks, if you have multiple years of unfiled returns, whether individual or business, you qualify for a free consultation with us here at Choice Tax Relief. So give us a call, 866-8000-TAX. That's 866-8000-829. Or you can go to choicetaxrelief.com, fill out the form on our website. We will reach out to you. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.